So yeah, welcome everybody. And this evening I thought we would look at our hamstrings. So the I didn't see the face. No. So the hamstrings, I'm sure you know, there's a few of them. I can never quite remember how many, 3 or 4 long stringy muscles that go between the kind of pelvis and the back of the knee, so the back of the thigh. So when you forward fold, those feelings in the back of the thigh. Tight on most people and can pull the pelvis out of alignment. So generally just a really good focus to have every now and then. Okay, so we'll start on our backs and we'll kind of get straight into it pretty much. So just when you're ready, come to lie down, and we'll just take a few moments just to kind of settle in. So you could just take Shavasana, like we would end the class, or any other position if you'd rather bend the knees, or even Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees wide. Just, it doesn't really matter what you do with your legs for a moment. We're just gonna use the supine position to arrive in our bodies. So this is an important part of the practice because we've probably been doing 1,000,001 things today. And, you know, we just have to take that moment to just consciously tell ourselves, okay, for the next hour and 15 minutes, I'm practicing yoga. Nothing else matters. Just to be in my body, to breathe, to make these shapes and breathe fully. So just bringing all of yourself into your body on your mat. And just, of course, check in with how you feel. So just that check-in that we do to just notice how the body feels this evening. Maybe there's injuries, pre-existing conditions, maybe there's something new just that's appeared randomly today or this evening, a pain, an ache, a niggle, a feeling tension somewhere. Just kind of observe what's going on for you this evening so that we can factor that in as we practice. And also just your general mood, your general energy level. So that again, you can adapt. If your energy is low, you can just do the modifications or skip postures if it gets too challenging. And then just relaxing the body as best you can. Just start to deepen the breath if you haven't already. Just start to lengthen the inhales and the exhales. So we're breathing through the nose if possible. You can breathe through the mouth if that's better for you. But otherwise, nose breathing, nasal breathing, really filling the lungs as you inhale, completely letting all the air in the lungs out as you exhale. So follow the exhale all the way to the end. Just do a few more rounds of full conscious breathing. You can even just hold the inhale for even just a second at the top of the inhale at full expansion, and then again, exhale fully to release all the way so that you feel that just gentle tuck of the abdominals back to the spine at the end of the exhale, which happens naturally. Just finish the round you're on and take one more full, complete round, full breath. And then we're going to just start to work into our legs. So hopefully you've got a yoga strap or something that could be used as a yoga strap around you. You know, dressing gown, belts, tie, whatever you can find, scarf. And we'll take it around the widest part of the right foot. You can keep the left leg bent, or you can extend out through the left leg on the floor. And we're just going to push up and out through the heel. So draw the toes to the shin on that right foot. And bring the foot to the place where you start to feel the sensation on the back of the leg. So for you, that might be quite far forward, vertical. It might be vertical. If you're more open, it might be closer to the face. Okay, so just find the place that's your edge, bearing in mind we're just warming up. So we're going to revisit these muscles throughout the class. So hopefully at the end of the class, they should feel a lot more open. But just for now, breathing into that sensation. I know this can be an intense sensation for many people. So don't make it so intense that you can't relax and breathe fully into it. Okay, see if you can bring the toes actively towards the shin. So pushing up and out through the right heel. If your left leg's on the floor, you're also pushing out through the left heel. Okay, so just a couple more breaths, and maybe there's a tiny bit more space. Maybe you can bring the foot even a millimetre or half a millimetre close to the face, but don't force it. There's no need to. But often after a hold for a few breaths, the edge just slightly shifts. So just finding your new edge, which may be the same as before. And then we're going to get more into the inner hamstring, so and inner thigh. So hold both ends of the strap in the right hand, anchor down left hip or thigh with the left hand, and start to bring the right foot out to the side. So we're moving into the innermost hamstring and now into the inner thigh muscles as well, the adductors. And you can just keep focusing on anchoring down through the left leg, whether your foot's on the floor or your leg is extended. That is your anchor. To keep the left buttock and as much of the left side of the back on the floor as possible. And push out through that right heel, toes to the shin. You can bend the right knee if you need. My right elbow is on the floor as a prop, but you can just suspend the foot in the air with the strap. Or if you've got a block to hand, you could place it to the outside of the right thigh or foot as well. Just a couple more breaths here. Try not to roll over to the right too much. Keep grounded through the left. And then draw your belly back to the spine so there's some core awareness as we inhale that leg back to the center. Just pause at the center again, and just you might need to bring the hands closer to the body, but we're just going to draw some circles with the heel. So with the heel, not the toes. So we want to keep pressing up and out through that heel. It's like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling here. And change direction of your circles. And this is getting into the hip joint as well. But keep feeling like you're doing it with the heel. Okay. And then come back to the center, and we're not going to go all the way over into a twist like we do sometimes. We're just going to hold both ends of the strap in the left hand and bring the foot to the center line. So maybe just above your navel, maybe slightly to the left of the navel. So it's not far. We want the right buttock to stay on the floor. So when we start to go further, this right buttock will come off. But we're kind of almost pushing down through the right buttock and extending up and out through the right heel. And you might start to feel it on the more outer hamstrings. For me, I feel it very intensely around the outer ankle and lower calf, but everybody's different. But we're trying to just access the different hamstrings here as best we can. So just explore. If you're not feeling anything, maybe try pulling the foot slightly closer to the face or ever so slightly further over to the left. Just kind of play around, find the sweet spot of, yeah, probably quite intense sensation, but not so intense that you can't relax and breathe into it. And we'll come back to the center, release the strap, maybe just hug the right knee into the chest for a moment, pushing out through the left heel, maybe just circle the right ankle, just mobilizing, waking up the legs of the feet, and change direction of your ankle circles. Great, and then just release your right leg onto the floor next to the left and kind of get yourself back to central alignment, and just notice the difference between the right leg and the left leg. Hopefully there's a much more alive feeling in the right leg. I can feel that, so they feel quite different. And you might even feel a bit longer in your right leg because you probably are very slightly longer after that. So we'll even ourselves up. So when you're ready, take the strap around the widest part of your left foot, just below the base of the toes. And don't assume that it's going to be the same on this side. We're a bundle of asymmetries, and we need to just tune in like a new blank canvas to this side to find our edge. Where is that place where I feel this on the back of the leg? But I can relax the face, I can take slow, deep, easeful breaths. You're pushing out through the right heel on the floor and up and out through the left heel. Unless, of course, you need to bend your right leg, which is fine. So activate the foot, toes to the shin. It's absolutely fine to have a bend in the knee. The hamstrings are very tight. You need to probably put a bend in the knee, but as we stay for a few more breaths, maybe again a little bit more space opens up in the posture, which might mean opening up the space at the back of the knee a bit more, so straightening the leg a bit more, or bringing the foot ever so slightly closer to the face. Just explore. And don't force. If there isn't any more space, then don't force that. Okay, and then coming out to the side, so holding both ends of the strap on the left hand, right hand can use as an anchor to try and encourage the right side of the body to stay down as we start to take the left leg out to the side. Again, your left elbow might come down, and that can be a handy little prop there. Otherwise, you can just be suspending the foot in the air with the strap, or using a block or bolster or some kind of support on the outer thigh or outer ankle. Keep pushing out, up and out through both heels, or out through both heels. Keep anchoring down through the right side. Maybe even engage the right side of the deep transverse abdominals, like pressing the front body of the right side down towards the floor. Stay anchored on the sacrum, breathing fully. And then to come up, connect to your deep core, draw the lower belly to the spine, and inhale the leg back to the center. Swap hands, so you're holding both ends of the strap in the right hand. And again, I think we're doing it in a different order this time. It's fine though, we'll do everything, don't worry. Just come to the center line or slightly beyond the center line with the heel. So it's not far. And then you push up and out through the heel. And it's almost like, if you can imagine, pushing up and out through the heel and down into the ground, down to the earth with the left hip bone. It's like we're stretching the leg in two different directions. So you feel fully grounded through the left buttock, but there's a real sense of energizing that leg and pushing out and away through the heel. For me, this is very intense. It shows up all my tightnesses around that ankle, but also hopefully feeling something in the upper thigh, outer thigh, or maybe not. And then come back to the center, and we'll just do those heel circles. So it's like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with the heel. So specifically the heel, so we're kind of really drawing the toes to the shin. The heel's the highest point if possible. These circles can be as big or as small as you wish, and change direction. So the heel's leading, the hands are just following. Notice how, we get the hamstring, but it's also just bringing nice energy, warmth into the hip socket here, the hip joint. And then come back to the center, release the strap, draw the left knee into the chest, and circle the left ankle, waking up the left ankle. And then change direction, back ankle circle, keep pushing out through the right heel. And then just bring both knees to a chest for a moment. Maybe just give yourself a little hug, stretching out the lower back here. And then we're going to take the strap again and take it around both feet this time. So round the widest part of both feet and just bringing both feet up to the ceiling. Okay, so it's a nice thing to do actually, because it opens up the soles of the feet. Often when we're going to do this seated, so it's like we're doing seated forward fold, but spun round, so we're on our back. And often the soles of the feet close in towards each other. But using the strap helps spread and open the soles of the feet. So feel like you're pushing the strap away with the soles of the feet. Try and kind of create space between the toes, and really feel the soles of the feet pointing up towards the ceiling as if you were standing, not towards each other. Okay, so this is all going to help open up the feet and the legs. So the feet's like where everything ends, where all the asymmetries in our body kind of manifest in the feet at the end point. So if we can start to rectify things at the feet, it's like we're going to the source in some ways, in one way of looking at it. If you get aligned and open in the feet, that's going to have a ripple effect up through the body and help realign. So make sure again you're at that edge place where you feel it on the back of the legs, opening the backs of the knees as much as you can. One more breath, just really focusing on the feet, flexed and wide and spreading. And then we can release. Again, hug the knees into the chest, maybe a little rock, maybe a little roll onto the sacrum. And then just when you're ready, we'll meet in tabletop. So you can just roll to one side and find your way up. And just plug the hands in. So the hands are underneath the shoulders, fingertips spreading, the knees are underneath the hips. And just take your left foot out behind you on the ball of the foot. So you've got the heel moving towards the wall behind you. And we're just stretching the toe joint here, but what we're also doing is stretching again the back of the leg, but more, you're probably going to feel this more in the lower leg now, the calf and the back of the heel. If you want more of a sensation, take the hands forwards and just, you can press a bit more and get a bit more stretch into the back of that left leg. So more calf, ankle, but still working at the back of the legs. Breathe into that stretch. And then just walk the hands in and just seeing as we're here, so the hands are back underneath the shoulders, we'll lift that left leg, internally rotate the left leg so the toe down rather than out to the outside, draw the navel up, draw the ribs up and stretch the right hand forward. Just for a couple of breaths, just getting a little bit of core work here, but pushing up and out or out rather through that left heel. Try not to let the left leg externally rotate, try and keep the toes pointing down. One more breath. And then exhale, let everything come down. If you need to just ease the wrists between sides, come onto child's pose and lift the wrists for a couple of breaths. Otherwise, just pause in neutral spine. And when you're ready, go to the other side. So we're going to stretch the right foot out behind us now. We're on the ball of the foot. The heel is pressing back to the wall behind you, and we're trying to open the space behind the knee. And again, you can just get a little bit more depth to the stretch by taking the hands forward a little bit. Breathe into that, trying to open up the back of the knee. Great. And then again, walk the hands back in, so they're right underneath the shoulders. Lift everything up away from gravity, gravitational pull. So lift the ribs up, lift the belly up to the spine, and lift the right leg. Try not to let the front body sag as you reach the left arm forward. So we're still concentrating on lifting the ribs up, lifting the belly up to the spine, internally rotating that back foot, toes pointing down to the floor. One more breath. And then exhale, release. And just take a moment in child's pose. Enjoy this because we're compressing back of the legs. I'm going to be doing the opposite for a large amount of the class. So sink the hips onto the heels, lift the wrists if the wrists feel compressed. So you're up on the fingertips. And just take a moment, just enjoying just sense of compression on the back of the knee, no stretching on the back of the legs. Breathe into the lower back or wherever you're feeling this. Relax the back, relax the face. And then when you're ready, we're going to come up to downward dog. So just come up by a tabletop, take the hands slightly in front of the shoulders, tuck the toes and lift the hips. And downward dog is a wonderful hamstring opener. So if the hamstrings are tight, we're going to need to bend the knees, which is absolutely fine. Do what you need here. There's a strong link between tight hamstrings and tight lower back, by the way. They're kind of two sides at the same point. If you also feel this tight in the lower back, just try bending the knees. Spread and widen the fingertips and look back towards your feet. Try to contract the front of the thighs to help open the back of the legs, drawing up on the kneecaps and seeing if you can contract the upper thighs as well, all the way up to the hip creases. Take one more breath. That will only happen if the legs are more or less straight though. And then at the end of your exhale, look forward, and we're going to walk forwards to a forward fold. So take the hands off the floor if you need. Classic hamstring stretch. We've got the feet underneath the hips now. And we're just gonna do a few variations of this today. So first of all, just dangle, either just let the arms dangle or hold the opposite elbow. And just play around with your positioning here. You want to feel like the weight is evenly distributed across the feet. Often we kind of hang back in the heels and the hips are actually behind the heels or vice versa. So we want the hips to really be directly above the ankles. And of course, the hamstrings are tight with bending the knees again.
Better to bend, start with the knees bent and then explore starting to open the knees from there rather than try to force it right from the opposite. Just one more breath here. And then we're going to transition to Padangustasana. So staying forward fold, I know we're here a while, but take the first two fingers and the thumb around the big toe. So if you are tight, you're going to need to bend the knees to find that grip. Okay, so it's like you're hooking the first two fingers underneath the pad of the big toe. So your pad of your big toe is pressing on the pad of your first two fingers, and the thumb can just press into the tip of the big toe. Okay, and we drop the head. We've sealed the circuit of the body where hands meet feet. So always powerful for me to do that. Feels good. So just enjoy that circuitry completion. Breathe into the back of the legs. One more breath. And then to come out, you just have to kind of lift the toes a little bit. Bring the hands to the hips and come up slow because we've been down there a while. Let the head come up last. And just step the feet together, come to the front of the mat. And we're going to just start with some half salutations, which focus on this kind of forward fold, and then we'll take it into full salutations. So just come to Tadasana, feet together, or slight gap between the feet, whatever you prefer, but spread the toes, root down, grow tall through the spine, out the crown of the head, shoulders sliding back and down. And drop the tailbone. So trying to find a neutral pelvis when the hamstrings are tight. Often that's a sign, that can be a sign that we're tilted forward a little bit. And we'll try to come back to neutral. And then with the breath, we're going to inhale, raise the hands and look up. Exhale, forward fold. Bring the hands down to the floor, drop the head. So you bend the knees if you need. And then inhale, hands onto the shins or floor, look up and lengthen. This is a hamstring stretch. Exhale, drop the head again. Inhale, raise the hands, so palms together at the top, above the head. And exhale, hands to the sides. This is our half salutation. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees if you need. Inhale, look up, lengthen spine. Exhale, drop the head again. Forward fold. Inhale, press through the feet. Raise the hands above the head, look up. Exhale, hands to the side. And again. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, fold. Drop the head. Inhale, look up, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Press through the feet. Inhale, raise the hands. Exhale, hands to the side. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll do 3 more, but this time full rounds. Okay, so inhale, take it up. We might add an extra bit in there, so follow my instructions. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen. And then exhale, forward fold again. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, this time we'll go back. So step the feet back to tabletop or plank, shoulders above the wrists, inhaling here. Exhale, lower down, knees on the floor or off if you prefer. Ashtangasana. Inhale, find a back bend, shoulders back, chest forward. And then exhale, back to downward dog. There's a lot of hamstring opening in downward dog, in the sun salutation. So back in a hamstring opener. Downward dog, so take some deep breaths into the back of the body and the knees if you need. Feel the front thighs contracting if you can. And then at the end of the next exhale, look forward, walk or step or jump the feet to the hands. And again, we're going to inhale, look up and lengthen, hands on the shins or floor, and exhale, fold. We're going to do it again. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, fold. This time we're coming up. Inhale, press through the feet, raise the hands above the head, reach and stretch. Exhale, hands to the side. Beautiful. Inhale, raise the hands, look up. Exhale, fold forward, drop the head. Inhale, look up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold. Adding that extra one in, inhale, look up, lengthen the spine. Bring the hands to the shins if you prefer. Exhale, forward fold. Oh, we're going to do it again, sorry. Inhale, look up and lengthen. This time as you exhale, step back to plank or tabletop, knees on or off the floor, and inhale. Exhale, you can bring the knees down or off the floor if you prefer. If they're down, it's chin in the chest down, hips high. Inhale, come up to your back bend. It could be a small cobra or an upward dog. And exhale, tuck the toes, downward dog. So here we are again in downward dog. Really spread the toes. So remembering that what we were doing with the strap around both feet on our back. So we're trying to square off the feet and then really activate and open the soles of the feet. So we can do that in downward dog as well. By spreading the toes, your heels might not be on the floor, that's fine, but we try to get a kind of even spread of at least the upper parts of the feet, around the toes and below the toes, evenly pressing into the floor, and eventually the whole of the feet, but until then we just kind of extend the heels down towards the floor. And then at the end of that exhale, look forward, walk, step or jump, feet to the hands. And here we go again, inhale, look up and lengthen, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen, find that extension, and exhale, fold from there. Inhale, coming all the way up, press through the feet, raise the hands, palms together, look up, and exhale, Tadasana, hands by the side. Great, one more. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, forward fold. Drop the head. Inhale, look up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, step or jump back to the plank or tabletop, shoulders over the wrists, lifting up here as you inhale. Exhale, lowering down, so knees on the floor as before, or knees off, floor to chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Spread the toes. Again, try to evenly press whatever parts of the feet are connecting to the floor. Try to be even in how you connect the feet to the floor here. Extend the heels down towards the floor. Contract the front of the thighs, drawing up on the kneecaps. And again, the upper thighs as well. And then just for a moment, come high onto the toes. Bend the knees really deep. Push the chest towards the thighs, so you're trying to seal the connection between lower ribs and thighs, and then just start to straighten the legs and extend the heels down towards the floor without lowering the hips. You get this extension on the back of the legs. And then at the end of the exhale, look forward, walk, step, jump, feet to the hands. And again, we'll do a few rounds. Inhale, look up, exhale, fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, raise the hands above the head, reach and stretch. And exhale, hands to the side. And just take a moment. Back of the legs probably feeling quite warm now, hopefully. So I'm just going to play with the forward fold again, just a little variation. So we'll kind of come into the chair pose. From here, so we're going to bend the knees and sink the hips a little bit, so we're not stretching back the legs, we're strengthening them for balance, and then we'll inhale, take the hands up, and as we exhale, we're coming forward, we're bringing the hands behind us, interlacing the fingers and folding over the legs. Knees can be a little bit bent if you need, and then we're inhaling, bending the knees, dropping the hips, releasing the bind, and taking the hands all the way up. Okay, so a lot happens on the breath, so just get into a bit of a flow, exhaling, folding forward, hands up and over. Inhaling, bend the knees, sink the hips, stay low with the hips as you take the hands up. Let's do about 3 more rounds. So get into a flow with your breath. Interlacing the hands as you fold forward on the exhale. Inhaling your way back up to the chest, the hips stay low. Okay, so just do a couple more. Your breath rhythm. So we're getting a nice combination of strengthening and stretching the back of the legs, because it's always good to do the opposite of whatever the focus is. Next time you come to the chair, hips low, knees bent, just stay. The hands might be more in front if the shoulders are tight. Just take about 3 more breaths here, dropping the tailbone, strengthening the back of the legs. It's going to be easier to lengthen them when we've strengthened them and brought warmth to that area. 1 more breath. And then inhale, straighten the legs. And exhale, release the hands to the side. Great. Okay, so I'm going to come forward again and do another variation. So again, step your feet so they're hip distance apart and the outer edges of the feet are parallel. And I really want us to pay attention to our feet today. So again, spread the toes. And as we come forward, we're going to try and evenly press down through the feet. So bring the hands onto the hips, roll the shoulders back, inhale, look up, exhale, forward fold. And just start by holding the back of the heels or the back of the ankles and drop the head. So again, you might need to bend the knees. Some of you, if you're very open, might be able to hold opposite elbow behind the knees or behind the calves, depending how open you are. But don't force that. Couple more breaths. Knees are as bent as you need. Neck is long. The top of the head is descending towards the floor. Check your positioning on your feet. And then finally, we're going to just take Padahastasana. So for this one, you lift up a foot and you slide the hand underneath the foot with the palm facing up. Come a bit closer so you can see. So it might be that your toes are just touching your fingertips. Eventually, when we get more open, the toes touch the inner wrist. Okay, so from the side. Bit of a funny one. So it's another energy circuitry, sealing the energy circuitry of the body. So if you're more tight in the hamstrings, you're going to need to bend the knees to find this grip, and you're probably going to just make fingertips and toes touch, but you still seal the circuit. Okay, if you're more open, just moving towards the wrist and moving towards opening back of the knees. Shoulders move away from the ears, so draw up towards the waistline. Couple more breaths. In this one, you can bring the weight a little bit further over into the toes without feeling like you're going to topple or without losing the contact of the heels, but just to get that press of the toe pads into the hands. And then to come out, just one at a time, slide the hands back out, bring the hands to the hips, bend the legs, so come up with this flat spine, flat back, and come up to stand again. Great. Okay, so I'm coming back to my back mat. Okay, so let's look at all that kind of forward folding is just like the main central hamstring. Let's try and get into the inner and outer hamstrings again. So we'll come into Trikonasana. So face the long edge of your mat and have your feet somewhere between the elbows and the wrists, widthwise, and turn your left foot and your right foot, left foot in, right foot out, and keep the hips facing forward. Okay, so inhale here and draw up on the kneecaps again. Find this kind of firming of the thighs. This is going to help us lengthen the back of the legs, and then exhale, send the torso to the right and bring the right hand down to meet the right leg, taking the left hand up. So you might be feeling this in a more inner, you probably are in a more inner thigh on the right leg now. It's still a hamstring stretch, but more inner hamstring. Draw up on the kneecap of that front thigh and press actively through the right foot. Try to spread the toes of the right foot. Try to spread the toes of the left foot as well. But really focusing on this right leg, firming the thigh, drawing the kneecap up, spreading the toes. One more breath. Great, and then inhale to come up. I'm just going to do just a simple Trikonasana both sides. So pivot to the other side, right foot in, left foot out. Watch the hips don't travel with you though. Keep them facing the long edge of the mat. Again, before you go down, find that firming of the thighs, draw up on the kneecaps, spread the toes. Try to keep that as you then exhale, slide the torso to the left. When you can't go any further, just release the left hand down. Take the right hand up. And if it's okay for your neck, look up. And then we're putting our awareness in both of our feet, but especially this front foot and front leg. So again, spread the toes. Often we scrunch the toes up in standing postures. We want to do the opposite. We want to spread, actively press the sole of the left foot down. At the same time, drawing up the energy up that leg. So drawing up on the kneecap, firming that left thigh. This is all going to help us stretch the hamstring, the left leg, the inner hamstring. Breathe deep, couple more breaths. And then on your next inhale, windmilling the arms to come up. I'm going to pivot to face the front. So you've now got your right foot facing forward, your left foot's turned in again, but now we're bringing the hips to face forward. So we're going to come into the pyramid pose. It's a classic hamstring stretch, and then take it into warrior 3, which is also a hamstring stretch. Okay, so the balance. So I'll just guide us through it. So just bring your hands onto your hips, roll the shoulders back, inhale, look up, and then exhale, fold forward. So your fingertips are on your hip bones, so try and keep the hip bones facing forward as you fold. So just try to be disciplined in that. Try to feel that the hip bones are tracking forward. When you get to your deepest fold, if the floor is available for you, you take your hands down to the floor, either side of the front foot. If that's too far, if you've got the luxury of 2 blocks, or you can have blocks, hands on blocks, or 1 block in front of the right foot, or hands to shin. Okay, so we hold what we can hold here, and then we drop the head. We're trying to straighten the legs as best we can. The hips are square to the front to the best of our ability. And you'll probably feel this is a hamstring stretch on the front leg, maybe even the back leg. Again, spread the toes of the right foot, the front foot, and firm the thigh. If the leg is straight or nearly straight, then we can try to access that feeling of drawing up on the kneecap and firming the thigh. And then see if you can do that on the back leg as well. So the thighs, the front thighs are active. One more breath. So we're going to transition. If you've got it, you might need a block. If you can, we're just going to come straight up to warrior 3. So it's a bit of a lunge forward, and we lift that back leg. We bring the torso forward, and we bring the hands out in front or out to the side or behind. And again, we try and inwardly rotate that back leg so the toes point down. You might need to bend the standing leg. It is a strong hamstring stretch and strengthener. If it's all too much, you can do a half balance. You can have hands on the floor or a block, more or less underneath the face as you come up, so you're not fully balancing. You're still going to get the same work on the leg. Inwardly rotate the back leg. Straighten the right leg as much as is available for you. One more breath if you can. Come down early if you need. And then bring that left leg back down. Inhale to come up. And just for a moment, step the left foot forward. Let's just come to feeling our legs. So going from the pyramid pose, Parsvattanasana, into the warrior is great because you get a really big stretch and then you get the strengthening. So your right leg should feel really warm right now. It's kind of energized. There's lots of blood there. There's lots of life there. This is good. Okay, so other side. Step the right foot back. Again, just start with the fingertips on the hip bones, or where you kind of feel the hip bones are if you can't actually feel them. They're tracking forward. We want to keep that as we fold forward. So inhale, look up, open the chest, exhale, fingertips, trying to discipline the hip bones to stay facing forward as we start to fold over that front leg. So use your block handy again, because if you get to your deepest fold and the floor feels like a million miles away, that's when we want to get the floor closer by using a block. So either 1 in front of the toes or 2, 1 under each hand, either side of the front foot. If you don't have a block, you can put the hands on the shin. It just means you have to be a bit more active in that front leg. It's quite strong work in the front leg. Drop the head. And again, firm the front of the thighs. Spread the toes, both feet. Feel like you're actively pressing down through both feet, like 50% effort or load through the front foot and the back foot. The legs are like working harder on these standing postures, as well as lengthening and opening. Okay, so at the end of your next breath, we're going to make that transition. So if you know the full posture is not for you, hopefully you've got a block handy and it's going to be quite a kind of step in front of that left foot. So when you step up, the block or the hands are more or less under the face. Otherwise, you're lunging forward straight into warrior 3 with the hands, full posture, hands out in front, palms face each other. Slightly easier, hands out to the side like Superman. Even easier, fingertips point back, or easier for me anyway. Internally rotate the back foot, toes point down. Have a bend in that front leg if you need. One more breath if you can. We want to stay here long enough so we kind of feel that heat in the front leg. And then slowly bring the back foot down, bring yourself up, and again step forward, come to Tadasana, and now feel the life and the energy and the heat in both legs, hopefully. Okay, so just take a moment, integrate that. Okay, so we're going to use that heat and come down into a more on the mat stretch for the hamstrings. We'll flow down, so we get to do another forward fold. So just standing with the feet together at the front of the mat. Inhale to raise the hands, look up. Exhale, forward fold. So we're going to do that extra little inhale to look up again here. Exhale to fold. And again, inhale, look up. And this time as you exhale, plant the hands and step the left foot back. And just bring the left knee down to the floor. So we'll just take a moment here to do something a bit different, so we're not stretching the back of the legs. It's important to do other things as well. We'll come into a crescent moon lunge. So dropping the hips low, you can keep the fingertips on the floor or inhale, raise the hands. A few breaths here. Just noticing that we're not opening the back of the legs. Back of the legs should actually feel very strong here. So you can achieve that by feeling like you're drawing the right heel and the left knee towards each other. That's going to switch on the muscles in the right thigh and even possibly around the back of the left thigh. One more breath. And then exhale, release the hands down. Again, you've got the luxury of 2 blocks. They might be handy here, or 1. We're going to just keep the heel where it is. Keep the right heel where it is. Just walk the hips back. You might actually need to take the right heel a little bit forward because ideally we want the left hip more or less above the left knee. So the left thigh is vertical. And then we're going to fold over our right leg. So this is half Hamunasana, half split. So another hamstring stretch. So if that right knee needs to be bent, that's fine. But again, we're just going to put a bit of, oh, and if you need the blocks there, if you've got 2, they're just either side of the ankle or wherever is comfortable. Or again, you could put hands on the shin, but you just need to be active in that right leg. Okay, and just to put the focus in the foot again, something you can do here is just use your left hand to draw the toes towards you. This is doing the same thing that the strap did. It's opening the sole of the foot, so opening and spreading and broadening the fascia of the sole of the foot, which is going to help just realign everything in the leg and up to the hips and the spine and the rest of the body, basically. As I say, all our stories of asymmetry, all our wounds and injuries that we pick up in our life, they're kind of all showing in the feet eventually, somehow. It's a good place to focus. One more breath. And then you can release the right foot back down and just slide the right knee back to join the left knee and just take the hands forward so they're more or less underneath the shoulders, maybe slightly in front, and come down, chin in the chest to the floor, hips high. Inhale your way to a back bend. This is like a mini vinyasa, and exhale, coming back to either tabletop. You can just step your left foot forward from there, or if you want that extra hamstring stretch, take a breath also in downward dog. And then when you're ready, bring the left foot forward between the hands and lower the right knee. And we're coming into our low lunge here. So again, fingertips can stay on the floor, or inhale, raise the hands. And try to work with some kind of strength in the thighs, because this is kind of our counter for the opening. So again, a nice cue to explore is feeling like you're drawing the left heel and the right knee towards each other, even though they're not really moving. They're kind of tractioning or energetically drawing towards each other. And this should hopefully make you feel like the legs are working a bit harder. It might make you actually lift out of the posture a little bit, which is fine. One more deep breath. And then exhale to release the hands down to the floor and ease off that back hip. So slowly take the hips back behind you, walk the hands back, and again, maybe just take the left heel a little bit forward, depending what position you're in, but just kind of have a little look and make sure the right hip's more or less above the right knee. And then we're going to fold over our left leg. So half Hamunasana on the left side. And if you liked taking that the foot with the hands, you can use the right hand. You can use the other hand actually, whichever works best, but I guess do the same as you did on the other side. And draw the toes towards you. And just feel like you're opening and spreading the toes, and opening and spreading the fascia of the feet. So the foot, the sole of the foot is open to the front. Using blocks if you need, using a bend in the knee if you need, come couple more breaths. Great, and bring the sole of the foot back down. And again, you can step back to downward dog. So you can tuck the back toe under and find your way to downward dog, or you can slide the left knee back to join the right knee into tabletop. Either way, we're coming down to the floor, so either knees on the floor for Ashtanga, chin and chest down, hips high, or chaturanga. Inhale up to your back bend. And again, take a child's pose if you really would like to compress the back of the legs at this point. But if you're up for some more opening, just take another 2 or 3 breaths in downward dog. And then at the end of your next inhale, look forward, walk, step or jump, feet to the hands, up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look up and lengthen, maybe hands to the shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press through the feet, raise the hands and look up. And exhale, Tadasana. Hopefully you've got the sense that you're growing, that the legs are getting longer. So we'll just go to the inner hamstrings one more time, and then we'll come down to the floor. So just step to the long edge of your mat again, and have a nice wide stance, and this time have the outer edges of the feet parallel. Hands onto the hips. And then roll the shoulders back, inhale, look up, and exhale, take that forward fold. Release the hands to the floor or your block. If the floor is far away, release the back of the neck so the top of the head descends. And just notice the difference. We're in a forward fold again, but the legs are wide this time. So you're going to feel it in different lines of tension in the legs, or different places in the legs. Just see if you can kind of anatomically track the shifting sensations, you know, the legs to the forward fold. How is it different now? You were probably feeling it more in a different hamstring, more inner maybe. Couple breaths. Great. And then from here, just straighten the arms and look up, and just kind of turn to face the front. So you kind of free the front foot, step the right foot back. One more downward dog before we come down to the floor. It's such a good posture for opening the hamstrings. Knees can be bent. You might feel, because of all this focus, that the downward dog feels a little bit more easeful at this stage, possibly. If you need to come down to child's pose, do. Otherwise, inhale, raise the right leg. And you can raise it as high as you want. The hips don't need to be level, but ground down through the left heel as best you can. So just send the left heel down. Press evenly through both hands. And then lower the right leg so the hips are level. And again, inwardly rotate that right leg so the toes point towards the floor. Still pressing down, grounding down through the left leg. Point the right toes to the wall behind you, and then exhale, lower the right leg. Just take a moment with both feet on the floor, so re-establishing downward dog. And then again, inhale, raise the left leg, take it as high as you go, don't worry about the hips, and focus on your right leg. Send through the right heel and firm up the front of the right thigh. Very strong in that right leg. And then lower the left leg so the hips are square, which involves an internal rotation. So the front of, or the top of the left foot faces the floor. Point the left toes back, really focusing on firming up the front of the right thigh. And then exhale, release, downward dog. And then release the knees. And again, let's just enjoy that little compression of the back of the legs, but with a wide knee child's pose this time. So we get into the inner thighs a bit. So you have the big toes touching, have the knees about mat distance apart, and just keep the hands forward or take them back if you prefer, or maybe just bend the elbows, rest the head on the back of the hands or on the floor behind the hands. So just find a comfortable position here and take some breaths, just enjoying the temporary closing of the backs of the legs and also that gentle stretch on the inner thigh. Maybe it's not gentle for you, but make sure you can breathe fully into whatever sensations you're experiencing. Okay, and then at the end of your next exhale, just walk the hands in towards the knees and bring the knees together. We're going to come into some seated forward folds, take this into the seated practice. So just come to sit down with your legs extended out in front of you. And have your strap handy. And also, I don't have one today, but if you had a folded blanket or a low block, you can also explore if your hamstrings are tight, which probably means your lower back's tight as well. So if you kind of have this kind of shape in the forward fold, this rounded, and you have to bend the knees, and then this could be really helpful for you just to start to encourage this readjusting of the pelvis and lengthening the lower back. So just consider elevating the hips today, even if you don't usually. And then we're going to work with a strap first, and then you can decide if you want to keep working with the strap or lose the strap. So we're going to take Paschimottanasana. So same as what we did. So we've actually done this position already, but lying on our backs. So take your strap around the widest part of the feet. And again, it's like you're actively pulling on the strap a little bit to open and square the feet, but kind of pressing actively with the ball of the foot against the strap. So this is like kind of push and pull to really awaken the feet here. And this is going to help them stay aligned as we fold forward. So lift out of the lower back. There's different ways of doing a forward fold. You can be more active today as best you can, especially if you're somebody in this shape. Then it's really the work for you is to slowly, because you'll be on the back edge of your pelvis, slowly, if you watch my pelvis, come onto the base of the pelvis. And lift out to the lower back. So this could be a work just to stay here and focus on lifting and moving more towards the front of the pelvis. And then we can start to take the chin and the chest forward. You might, if the hamstrings are tight, just bend the knees. You might have to have quite a bent knee position here. And we start to take the chin and the chest forward. If we need to, we can take the hands closer to the feet. If we're super open and we actually don't need the strap, then you can let your hands do the same thing as the strap. So you can pull on the little toe edge of your feet and push the big toe, the base of the big toe away from you. And that's going to do the same thing about squaring the feet. But either way, we're lifting out of the lower back, we're drawing the shoulders back, chest is moving forwards. Draw the navel in towards the spine. If you've got the strap, try not to over grip. Try to relax the shoulders and have a relaxed grip. Take a couple more breaths. I know this is probably not a particularly pleasant forward fold because we have to work quite hard, but we're trying to hinge from the hips, we're trying to lift through the lower back. Okay. And then we're going to stay in the forward fold for at least another 5 breaths. So you can continue to work here with the strap if you're feeling this is beneficial. If at this point you want to change it into more of that kind of soft forward fold, more classic Paschimottanasana where we drop the head and you round into the upper back, you're welcome to. And it might not look like me, it might be more hands on the thighs or the shins, but you can still just have that sense of rounding the upper back and dropping the head. But if you are super tight in the lower back, probably it's more beneficial for you to keep working the way we just have, even though it's harder work. And only do the softer one when you just need to do it energetically, when you just need to have a soft forward fold to just relax into yourself. Okay? But for the purposes of opening the body, the strap's perhaps possibly better option for you if you're very tight. Take a couple more slow, deep breaths here. In our chosen position. And then just slowly come up. And just for the purposes of balance, because we are really focusing on one particular stretch today, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to do the Paschimottanasana. So you can do this with straight legs. You can also, a little bit easier, bend the legs and come up to tabletop. Okay, but either way, your hands are behind you, the fingertips point forward, so they're about shoulder width apart, maybe about 10 centimeters behind the buttocks. Draw the tips of the shoulders forwards, actually, not back, so forwards. Press into the hands and with your legs bent or straight, lift the hips. If you are straight-legged, your work is to internally rotate. Again, we do a lot of that today, to try and press the big toes down. Because they're going to want to externally rotate onto the little toe edges. If you've got the knees bent, you're trying to keep the outer edges of the feet parallel and lift the hips. Come down when you need with control, pressing through the hands, slowly lowering the hips back down. It's strong work that really uses the back of the leg muscles, which is good. Okay, and then we're going to come forward again. So keep your left leg outstretched. Take the sole of your right foot to the inner left thigh and the knee out to the side, and you might need to pad the outer hip with a blanket or a block if it's very high off the floor. Make sure the hips are more or less facing that left heel, and inhale, raise the hands up. And then exhale, fold forward. So you could work with the strap again if you're enjoying this focus today. And for all these seated forward folds, you could do them all with the strap. You can at least, if you're not using the strap, at least do the same discipline. So as you come forward, inhale, look up, draw the shoulders back, lengthen the chest forward, feel like you're hinging from the hips and lifting through the lower back, and take at least a few breaths in that kind of shape. If you're open enough to have the foot, again, you can square off the foot with the hands, if not the strap. And then for the next few breaths again, if you wish, so you can stay working in that way, or you can drop the head and come into the more kind of passive, I suppose, version of the forward fold, which has a very different energetic quality. It is supposed to be very calming and soothing. Or if you're feeling like you want to just keep working with this very beneficial work in a more active way, use the strap. And then at the end of your next exhale, slowly coming up. And just simply swap sides. Take the right leg forward. Bring the sole of the left foot to the inner right thigh. Support the outer thigh if you need. Try to activate this thigh. So the same work whether we're standing or seated. Thighs firm. And the sole of the foot is square and open as best you can. Inhale, raise the hands. Have your strap handy if you're going to use it. Exhale, stretching and lifting out from the lower back, hinging at the hips. Bring the hands down to whatever they find. And then inhale again. Draw the shoulders back, open the chest forward. And just stay here with or without the strap for a few breaths. Great. Try not to overgrip and overuse your arms, but it is an active posture. Keep that right foot active and open and square as best you can with the strap on your hands or just your intention. And then either stay there or for about another 3 or so breaths, 3 to 4 breaths, just drop the head, come into a more passive Shavasana, which feels most beneficial for you this evening. And then at the end of your next exhale, slowly come up. I'm just going to move again back into the inner thigh. So bring the sole of the right foot to join the left. We end up in Baddha Konasana, the collar pose. And this is another one where if you're tight in the lower back, sit yourself up on a block or a folded blanket, just elevate those hips. It's going to make your life a lot easier and speed up the process of opening your lower back possibly. If you can, hold on to the outer edges of the feet, or the front tops of the feet, or the ankles if you can't reach the feet. Lift through the spine, draw the shoulders back, kind of wriggling them back, drawing the chest through the upper arms. And just pause here, no bouncing, just trust in gravity. You can kind of actively press the thighs down, but just don't bounce. Feel this is an inner thigh stretch. Try to relax and spread the sit bones. There's a slight activation of the pelvic floor, but there's a feeling of grounding down through the pelvic floor as well. So we're kind of simultaneously relaxing it whilst we activate just the central point of Mula Bandha. Deep breath. Okay, great. And then just moving into one more inner thigh stretch. So stretch the legs wide.
or as wide as is comfortable for you, and activate the feet. So just having this real foot focus today. So flexing the feet, pushing it out through the heels, toes up, spreading and opening the feet here. And then you can just stay out. If this is enough, if this is already intense, just stay here, maybe hands behind you to lift back within the pelvis and come towards the front. Otherwise, if you feel open in the lower back, start to take the hands forward, hinging from the hips, and just go to your deepest expression of the posture where you can feel it in the inner thighs, but you can breathe fully, you can relax into it. Just take a few slow, deep breaths here. In this posture, we want to keep that spine more straight. We're not really coming into the passive dropping the head rounded back. We want to kind of lift the chest, extend through the spine, and lift up and out through the lower back. One more deep breath here. And then slowly walk the hands back in. Just bring the knees together for a moment. So before we come down onto our backs, there's an invitation. We're going to revisit the half splits, and if anybody is working with full splits and wants to have a go, then you're very welcome to. We've kind of prepped quite a lot for the hamstring side of it and done a little bit of hip work for the hip flexor side of it, or you just repeat what we did before. Okay, so just come to kind of kneel towards the back of your mat. We'll start again with that low lunge. So step your right foot forward. Coming back into this sequence, we did this already, and you're just going to repeat this if this was enough. So start with a low lunge, but if possible, either lift the hands, bring the hands onto the thighs and lift the spine, or again, come into the full posture. But we want to try and really open the front of this left hip flexor, because this is preparation for full Hamanasana. We need that openness of the hip flexor of the back leg. Just breathe into that left hip flexor. Again, feeling the strength of the legs, drawing left knee, right heel towards each other. And then exhale, release. The hands down. And again, either just come straight back, or maybe we'll all come into half splits first. So just again, just don't worry if the hips behind the knee this time. Just keep the right heel where it is and send the hips back and fold over the front shin. Now, if this is enough for you, stay here. If anybody wants to explore Hamanasana, you bring the sole of the right foot down again, and then you start to heel toe the right foot forward, walking the hands forward with you. You might need a block nearby. And at some point, especially if the foot comes off the mat, you'll come to a point where you've either reached your limit, you stay here, pushing down through the hands to support you, or you come into the heel slide. So, sorry that sound effect, promise you that's my heel. You start to slide your right heel forward, okay? And you might come all the way down, you might get close and had the underside of the right thigh with a block on any of its lower or medium height, probably not the highest setting. So this is optional, taking a few breaths, otherwise you're still breathing in half splits. Opening the chest forward if you're in full Hamanasana. One more breath. Okay, if you're in the full splits, press through the hands, and there's no easy way out of this really, except to use your core to help slide the right heel in and press through the hands. And everybody, just slide your hips back onto your heels for a moment. So just take kind of a half child's pose. If you want to come all the way down into child's pose, do, but really just taking a moment to compress the back of the legs and then kind of kneeling with the hands forward. I'm going to come straight to the other side. I'm just going to turn the light on in here because it's a bit dark. Okay, so when you're ready, from kneeling, bring your left foot forward and sink the right hip. So low lunge. Okay, so you can keep your fingertips on the floor, but to really open that hip flexor, see if you can climb the hands onto the thighs and maybe press, straighten the arms, or take the hands up for the full extension. Feel that strength in the legs. So we could just be really passive and dump into our legs, but instead we're going to kind of, it's almost like you're lifting out of it a little bit without losing the stretch on the right hip flexor. By pulling the left heel back without actually moving it and feeling like you're drawing the right knee forward. One more breath.
for it. Exhale, release the hands down. Come back to the half splits just so that we kind of can all start from the same place. So just keep the heel where it is, walk the hands back, walk the hips back. This time the right hip can be behind the knee, fold over the right shin. Again, if you need those blocks or you need hands on the shin, take it. Stay here for a nice long hold, or those of you going for the full Hamanasana, take the hands forward, scrunch the toes, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, feeling the back hip drop. When you get to your limit, maybe the back hip's too tight and that's as far as you go, just stay pressing down through the hands to be supported here, or come all the way into the heel slide and down into Hamanasana, using the block if you need, and leave the left thigh. Okay. Fingertips by the hips if you're in the full posture, possible, drawing the shoulder back, opening the chest, flexing that left foot. When we can really get into Hamanasana, it's all about, again, that opening of the left foot, and you can also open the back foot and onto the ball of the foot. One more breath, or whichever posture you're in here. And then if you're in Hamanasana, so you have to press through the hands, you have to lift the core, so lift the belly up to the spine to help you draw the left heel in. Everybody come to just again kneel, possibly come into full child's pose at this point, or again, just maybe that half child's pose, just kneeling with the hands forward, or even just a neutral, more neutral kind of tabletop, but any position where the legs are just not, the back of the legs are not in any kind of stretched position. So just take a few moments. This is a strong work opening these tight muscles like this. So just really breathing that through. That was our peak posture. So we're going to just relax now. Take a few more breaths there. And then when you're ready, we're going to come onto our back. So just slowly kind of coming up, let the head come up last, and just find your way down onto your backs. We're just continuing really with what we were just doing in child's pose. It's like we make these shapes and we just spin them around into another dimension or perspective. So we're kind of in child's pose again, but on our back. So hugging, this time hugging the knees into the chest. So you can just hold the back of the knees, or the front of the shins, interlacing the hands, whatever works for you, and just relaxing the legs. And if you feel like you want to rock side to side, then do. We will just do one more stretch for the outer thighs, because we haven't really kind of looked too much at the outer thighs. So just bring the left foot down, flex the right foot, and take the outer right ankle onto the front of the left thigh, thread the needle. Feed the right hand through the gap and hold the back of the left knee with both hands, or the front of the left shin, unless that's too much on your knee, in which case just keep that left foot on the floor. So breathe into the outer hip. So yes, this is definitely stretching the outer hip, but also you'll possibly will be feeling it in your right thigh as well. So again, just kind of anatomically track the lines or the spots of resistance and tension, so you can identify which muscles or facial lines are feeling stuck, feeling resistant to the stretch. Just kind of starting to get to know our body deeper and deeper levels, where it might be tight, where it might be weak, where it might be asymmetrical on one side. So I'm just always observing the sensations. Okay, then release the left foot to the floor. If you have raised it, keep the shape. We're going to go into the twist from this shape. So nothing moves. Keep the right foot flexed. Keep everything the same shape. Just let the left knee drop out to the left. The right foot still firmly connected to the front of the left thigh, and eventually the right foot will come to the floor and the right knee is pointing up to the ceiling. You're in exactly the same shape, you just onto the side. You can extend your arms out in line with the shoulders and look out over your right shoulder. You can maybe press the right thigh away from you if that works for you. And breathe into this long line of stretch down the right side of the back, outer hip, down the right side of the thigh, all the way to the knee. From right fingertips to right knee, all being stretched. all the way. At the end of the exhale, just use your core awareness to bring you back to the center. Release the right foot, just check you're centrally aligned and take it to the other side. Flex the left foot, keep it flexed, ankle on the front of the thigh, lift the right foot up if that feels okay. Hold the front of the shin or the back of the knee so your left hand through that little gap under the left leg. And breathe into the outer left hip and low back, but also again, just with that kind of upper leg focus today or back of the leg focus, just noticing where this side is feeling the resistance, especially in the thigh. Maybe there's some hamstring tightness. Inwardly probe your left thigh with your awareness to feel what muscles or what facial lines might be tight or weak. And then at the end of your exhale, release the right foot to the floor. Again, hold the shape, nothing moves. Keep this left ankle pressing into the right thigh, the foot flex as we drop the right knee out to the side. Eventually, the sole of the foot's going to meet the floor and the left knee is pointed up. Extending out through the arms, look over your left shoulder, maybe pressing right inner thigh away. And breathe. Now we've got this lovely stretch from the left fingertips all the way across the front of the left shoulder and chest, down the waist, into the left lower back, outer hip and outer thigh to the knee. Let's see if you can feel that line of stretch as you breathe into it. Releasing tension as you exhale. Creating space as you inhale. And connect to your core, draw the lower belly back to the spine as you bring yourself back to the center. Release the left foot down. And just before Shavasana, you could just hug everything in again, or if you do want one more thigh opener, we could finish with Happy Baby and potentially for Upanishta, which I'll explain. So if available, you're holding the little toe edges of your feet or the ankles or the back of the knees. If you kind of feel like you've had enough of the opening and you just want to be in the nurturing closing, just hug both knees into the chest instead with the legs together. Otherwise, one last opening. And if you want to have a go at Urdhva Upavishta or half Urdhva Upavishta, half, you start to extend, you start to push the right heel, the right foot into the hand to extend the right leg. Maybe come back and try with the other leg. This is the half version. And then, of course, the full version is when you do both legs at the same time. So it's again a posture we've been in already, seated, wide leg forward fold, but now we're on our back. Totally optional. Otherwise, just stay in Happy Baby or hug the knees into the chest. And then if you are in Urdhva Upavishta or Happy Baby, I recommend just coming to hug both knees to the chest with the knees and the thighs tightly pressing together. So just one kind of final little closing, you know, nothing's being stretched and opened in the thighs here in the back of the legs. So just hugging, squeezing everything in, maybe even bring the head up to the knees. And then when you're ready, just release and we're ready for Shavasana. And time's gone a bit quickly for me today, so if anybody has to rush off at 1:15, let me know. Otherwise, we might just run over by a couple of minutes, just because I want to give you like a good 3-minute Shavasana to integrate this work, and it's nearly 1:15, so we'll just run over a couple of minutes if that's all right. If you need to go, you've got about a minute. Okay, so check you're centrally aligned. Let the feet be wider than the hips, flopping out. So now we can let them externally rotate and flop out. Arms away from the side, palms up. Make yourself nice and warm. Support yourself as you need. And just come to stillness and really just give yourself this stillness, this to integrate. We carry a lot of tension in the hamstrings, as you probably felt this evening. And they work hard for us. But there is also a kind of sense that tight hamstrings can represent
our clinging to the past. This is something I've heard and it kind of resonates with me. If we're always looking backwards and we can't let go of the past, this can kind of manifest in the body, the back side of the body is tight. So just have a complete letting go on all levels of your being here. Obviously physical, we've done a lot of letting go. Just kind of inviting a letting go of whatever doesn't serve you anymore. Things change, things that served us once perhaps aren't serving us anymore, but we haven't quite got to letting that go yet. So just invite the release of the old, of what's had its time and is ready to leave. Give a space for the new. As always, if you need longer to integrate and you're just really not ready to move, just stay. Take the time you have, the time you need. And if you want to close with me, just because we've reached the end of our time, just gently awaken the body with small movements again, deepening the breath. Taking any stretches you need. And slowly, gradually, make your way back to seated. That Shavasana is the corpse pose, the ultimate letting go. We die to the old self, so when we come back, space for the new. So just feeling that newness in your body, maybe just bringing the palms together just to close. Yeah, feeling like when we unwind and start to release this tension in the body, it's creating space to release things and other layers of our being. So it's welcoming in the new with the space we've created this evening. Ready to open the eyes if they're closed again. And thank you all for practicing. Namaste. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Becky.